Hi, I'm Insane Rider, and welcome to the channel The Budget Gamer. Let's review the snow-blowing old man Gale, and see if he has been fired yet from Mr. P's Snowtel. As a grumpy old man who uses his snowblower on the Snowtel's guests, can Gale also clear the battlefield? Perhaps you can master solo Showdown and freeze out all opponents who get in the way. If so, how will you clear out the battlefield? Are you going to go with his blow and no-go build, tuning his leaf blower to the max and creating small twisters while slowing down opponents with frozen snowballs? Or will you go with his float and gloat build, launching Gale or his opponents around the map, while also giving concussive blows against obstacles? Knowing your personal playstyle preferences will also be important when you select a gadget, 2 gears, and a star power. Not sure? Don't worry, I have you covered on Gale's playstyles and his best associated power level 11 budget build. But before we make gadget, gears, and super decisions, we need to understand more about his Brawler class and its play style. It's important to review this so that we can make smart choices that have a synergy with Gale's class's strengths and/or offset his weaknesses. Let's get started. Gale's class is Controller. Controllers focus on dominating the map. Their reliance on area of effect attacks means that they can really stand their ground, and even take it too. They are strong against foes that have weak positioning, but may be ineffective in one-on-one encounters. As a gamer, if you enjoyed dominating the battlefield through both strategic and tactical positioning and gameplay, a controller will be a great choice as your main. Gale has an interesting basic attack in Polar Vortex. Blasting a wall of snowballs from his leaf blower, Gale has a strong, very fast reloading long-range attack. This attack has a rectangular area of effect, sending forward 6 snowballs. The more snowballs that hit the target, the more damage is delivered. This basic attack is versatile, as it can deliver a high amount of damage when used either in up-close or at ranged combat. This makes Gale an effective brawler, both at a range and when up close. And the width of his attack makes aiming, including auto-aim, a bit easier to use. And if you follow my recommendation on Gale's budget power level 11 blow and no-go build, you'll be putting a frozen lockdown to all opponents you encounter. Owning the battlefield with this playstyle is a blast, a frozen blast. For Gale's gadget, I recommend Twister. This gadget creates a local tornado and pushes back any opponents who try to pass through it. This gadget can be utilized both defensively as well as offensively. I recommend Gadget Charge and Shield for gears. Gadget Charge gives Gale 1 additional usage of Twister, and Shield gives Gale a bit more survivability when being attacked. These gears have a strong synergy with Gale's blow and no-go build, supporting his ability to lock down the battlefield. And for Gale's star power, I suggest Freezing Snow. This star power is the cornerstone of his slow and no-go build, and applies a slow to all opponents who are hit with his basic attacks. This star power can be clutch in many situations. When utilizing Twister and Freezing Snow, you have a slow and no-go build that controls the battlefield and complements nicely with Gale's strengths as a controller. As of Season 31, Gale has one of the best hypercharges in the game. His hypercharge, Blizzard, is a must-have for anyone playing Gale as their main. Plus, how cool is that? Completing laying waste to the battlefield and putting it on a frozen lockdown. It's very easy to see why Gale is a fan favorite. Gale's other playstyle and approach would be to go with a float and gloat build. With this playstyle, you would select Spring Ejector for his gadget, Gadget Charge and Shield for his gears, and Blustery Blow for his star power. Technically not a bad build. A case could be made for this build based on the mobility and stun capability achieved. However, Gale's blow and no-go build is so much fun and very entertaining. Taking a controller who is already good at controlling the battlefield and delivering frozen chaos to all opponents is thoroughly enjoyable. Overall, here is my strategic recommendation on tactical gameplay combat with Gale for solo Showdown matches. Initially, as a controller, you'll want to push for power cubes early to build both your damage and health. Knowing that you can lock down the battlefield, you'll want the backing of extra damage and health to take full control of the match. You'll utilize your gadget, Twister, with both a defensive and offensive approach. Defensively, Twister can be used on an up-close opponent to create space, allowing you to disengage in their up-close combat. Offensively, Twister can be placed strategically to force your opponents into certain combat situations, positions, or locations that give you a tactical advantage. Your star power, Freezing Snow, will constantly apply a slowing effect to your opponents. This slow can be used defensively or offensively, allowing you to control the tempo of combat against an opponent or opponents. For many players, they are used to moving about the map at a certain speed, and the slowing effect can throw off their combat timing and sequence. And when combining a slowing effect on an opponent, along with a decent ranged attack width, those players used to dodging and evading ranged attacks will find themselves taking much more damage than normal. Taking an opponent out of their combat rhythm can be very instrumental in your complete domination of the battlefield. When using your super, Gale Force, you extend your reach of controlling the battlefield. Gale Force has a very long range and does a decent amount of damage. This super can be used defensively to create space and push brawlers who are engaging you in up-close combat. And offensively, you have a long-range attack that not only does good damage, but repositions your opponents. Repositioning opponents can give you a tactical advantage in combat. Recharging Gale's super is variable depending on the number of snowballs that hit and the overall damage. At the closest distance, landing all snowballs and doing full damage will allow you to recharge his super in 3 attacks. However, it can be variable, typically taking 4 to 5 hits. And finally, learn and practice attacking using manual aiming while on the battlefield. Auto-aim is not suggested when playing Gale. Fortunately, Gale's attacks have a bit of spread to it, allowing for a bit of aiming variance. Auto-aim can be occasionally used in certain combat situations, primarily during point-blank range. To summarize, the Snowblowing Old Man's best power level 11 budget build is centered around a blow and no-go build, asserting himself as the dominant brawler on the battlefield with a controlling playstyle. You'll want to use Twister for Gale's gadget, Gadget Charge and Shield for his gears, and Freezing Snow for his star power. Gale's Hypercharge, Blizzard, is one of the best in the game, and a must-have for anyone whose main brawler is Gale. Following this build recommendation, you'll turn the battlefield into a frozen wasteland. Your dominance will not only be felt, but respected as well. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Brawl Stars, Brawler on a Budget, Gale. Let me know your thoughts or opinions on Gale. Is he your main? If not, why not? And what do you think of his Squeakbuster skin? Please like and subscribe. Let's brawl.